Welcome to the best tutorial about dynamic heads that you will probably ever see. I'm Shine, one of the best dynamic head UGC creators. And in this video, you will learn everything you need to know about how to make dynamic heads. From how you can set up your drawing to make the animation process as fast as possible, to having a full animated head with full perfect looking makeup support and some special effects with the best techniques, to make this whole process so much easier and faster than ever before. And how pass validation in less than 2 minutes. Remember that this video has been done with a lot of work and I'm giving it for free. So if you want to support this, you can send tips in my coffee or buy assets that can help you make this process even easier. The link is in the description. A little warning before I start. I tried to make this video beginner friendly, but this is so hard to make and maybe the result isn't the best for that. So if you get lost or this process is still very hard for you, sorry. You may learn to use Blender more before doing this. I tried my best to explain some things for beginners, but probably I will forget or could be other details that I'm not taking in consideration because I'm not beginner anymore and this process is very complex. I still think this is not for beginners at all, but if you want to try it anyway, it's okay. And remember that you have been warned. And now, let's begin. So the first thing that you are going to do is join my Discord server. The link is in the description. Then go to this channel and here you'll find the templates to start. For now, the best one is the default head, but maybe when you are watching this, new head shapes and updates have been added. So here you have 3 versions, one with eye holes, other with eye holes and mouth holes, and the other without holes. Most of the time you're going to use these 2 with holes. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the one with mouth and eye holes to show you how would you make a head with full features. If you don't want to add something specific, don't worry. I'll explain how you can do some things in different styles as we are doing it. Hi, I'm Shine, editing this. And after this clip, I found out while doing the face that I'm going to do for this video that the template with mouth hole only works if you have the height of your mouth here or close to here because of how its topology is. Also, the shape of the face that I'm working with in this video has its shape like this. So a mouth with lips looks kind of weird. And because of this, I ended up doing it without this feature. So if you want to put lips in your face for lip makeup support, make sure your design goes well with that. And I will show you later in the video how you can make a mouth hole by yourself in case my template doesn't fit your face at all, or in case I don't even put it in for download. I'm still considering this because if it doesn't work for all of you, I don't know how useful it is to have it there. And maybe it's going to confuse some people. So if you don't even see this template there, you know the reason. Also ignore the fact that I'm using this template at the start. I'll change it to the one with only eye holes later. So just download the one that you want to use, and after that, you're going to have the file like this so you can open it. Inside the file, you will find this folder. You can save it wherever you want to. If for some reason you can't open this or move this folder, you may need to install WinRAR. Once you open the folder, you will see this. So now we're going to open this .blend file with Blender. The version of Blender that I'm using is 4.4.3. I don't think it changes too much in newer versions, so you should be fine if you have it updated. When you open it, you will see something similar to this. Remember that this template may have updates in the future, so you could see some things different, but that will not affect the process. The changes can only make your progress faster and better. Now for the drawing of the face. I'm not going to talk deeply about it because drawing is a whole separated thing, and most of you probably have already your drawing or will commission someone to do it. But I will tell you some things that you can take in consideration to speed up your process. So first, if you're going to draw your face by yourself and you have never done that before, is this section of the resources channel of my Discord server. I have these images that can help you as reference to place in a better position your face. So you can import this in your favorite drawing software and make it fill all the canvas. From here, you can start to draw whatever you want. Here, the only tip I have for speeding up the process is that I normally just draw the general shape of the face like this, because I can make better textures and details when I have the 3D model done with our UVs ready like this. So now, if someone else has made your drawing for you, here are some things that you can take in consideration. First, ask your artist to give you the face in layers. This means that you want to have each part of the face separated from each other, like this. One layer is the iris, the other one is the mouth, and so on. If they can't give you that, ask them for at least to have it separated from things like blush if they have this. Because this way we can do the texturing part faster and easier. We are not going to use this initial image as the final texture. At the end, we are going to have something more like this. So if we have everything separated from the start, we can move it around in our canvas wherever we want, and it's a lot faster and easier this way, because you don't have to separate each part manually. And also, if you can ask them to draw the full iris like this, it will be a lot better, so you don't have to fill that missing space of the iris that we don't see in 2D, but we do see in 3D. That's all for the drawing tips. Now, let's go back to our template. So if we scroll down here, you will see this Roblox default head that is inside this collection. This head is the one that you'll always use as a reference, so it should not be modified. Now, we are going to put our face image as a texture for this head, so we can make our 3D model look exactly the same as the drawing. To do that, just click this thing and then click Open. Here, you'll search your image. Once you have found it, you will click Open Image. So now, if we click here to change the preview material mode to viewport shading, you will see your face. So now, you need to test this in Roblox to make sure the eyes and everything is in a good looking position. So select this face, go to File, Export as FBX, and then do what I do here and save it wherever you want. Now, open up Roblox Studio. I recommend you to use a mannequin of yourself because the new official dynamic faces from Roblox have a very bad positioning, and most of the other heads made by UGC creators doesn't have this error. So now, we are going to import our head. Just click Import and search it. Now, here, do what I do. After that, select the head, and here in the Properties tab, change the scale to 1.025. Now go to Avatar, Accessory, and click the head. Select what I'm selecting here, and a face accessory will appear. Now just copy it and paste it inside your mannequin. Check if it looks good for you. You can also test different hairstyles and whatever you want to make sure it's perfect. If it doesn't look good, then modify your image until it fits your liking. You can also press UV editing in Blender. Select this with L and make it smaller if your face in your image is too small. Once you have everything done, we are going to start modeling the face. Here I will explain a little bit of basic shortcuts for beginners. First, if you press the numbers in your numpad, you can change the view like this. We can change from object mode to edit mode by pressing Tab. In edit mode, we can move vertex to adjust the shape of our model. If we press G, it will move. If we press R, it will rotate. And if you press S, it will scale it. The last basic thing that I'm going to be using a lot is this one. If you press L, you can select an entire object as you can see here. You can also move your camera if you press the scroll of your mouse. These are the basics, very basic, so you don't get very lost if you're very new at using Blender. From now on, I may not explain as much the shortcuts that I'm using because if I do it, this video would be super slow and boring to follow for more experienced people. But remember that I will have this thing enabled the entire video so you can see what I'm pressing every time. So now we are going to select our head and then change to edit mode. Here we are going to turn on this magnet with face nearest, and now we can start moving vertex to fit our face shape. Remember that every time you modify your head, you need to have this magnet enabled with face nearest. And also you need to have this Roblox default head visible. Otherwise, your head may not have the exact same shape of the Roblox default head, and your vertex are going to move to weird positions like this. You can turn on and off the visibility of your head reference when you need it, also the magnet, and with Ctrl+R, you can add cuts to your model in case you need it. From now on, I may tweak the speed of the video in certain parts to make it faster, and I will let you know at which speed we are at. If you need to watch some parts slower, remember that you can change the speed in the settings of this video. I will be explaining the most important things of the modeling and the other parts of the process. The rest may be better to just pay attention at what I'm doing in this footage where I'm doing a real face for a client. I will try to not make significant cuts, so this is going to be mostly an uncut process. Here I'm trying to keep my vertex as straight as possible to avoid weird-looking shading or crisp effects later when we start animating the face. Also, try to avoid having vertex too close from each other in certain parts like this. The minimum distance required is already kind of there in the template, so just try to keep them similar to it or to what I'm doing in this video. If you see weird visual glitches when you're at the animating part, this topology errors could be the reason why it's happening. Because if you move one vertex too low from the vertexes connected, the face that they are created when merged together will create this weird looking shadings as they are clipping with the other faces that are below them. After that, I insert a plane inside the facebag collection that I'll be using to model the eyelashes and the other face features and details. So just pay attention at what I'm doing. Here I'm trying to make an eyelash by duplicating a face and extruding it. But I didn't like how it looked in this face since it only has one visible eyelash at the top. So I changed it to be just a part of the same plane. Keep in mind, you can make the same things in different ways to fit different styles. It all depends on your design. After this, I added another plane while being in edit mode, so it is part of the same object, and started modeling the rest of the face details with this. Here I put mirror modifier in the face details, so they look the same in the other side of the face.
Yeah. Unknown brain. Marvin Divine.
And create a new plane in object mode with mirror modifier to make the mouth. Here I struggle with making the lips and mouth hole, but later I realized that for this face, that will not look good at all. So now I'm going to explain you how you can make a mouth hole in case your face has a more straight mouth and you want to add this, so you can have other details and lip makeup support. So what I do for this is first separating these vertex by pressing V, and I make some subdivisions to have at the end 5 vertex across the edge of my mouth, counting the one at the end that is still merged. Then I start making the lip shape in the second ring of the mouth, as you can see in this footage. In this footage that I'm using, it didn't go so well because I rushed it. And in this height, it's a lot harder to make this topology look good, since the curvature of the Roblox head starts here. And if you move too much these lines from their place, the original shape of the head will mess up. And if you create subdivisions that are so close from each other, the shading looks with a weird line, as you can see here. But the topology you want to get looks like this, where as you can see, it forms kind of like a square that follows the head shape perfectly, and it's all in quads. Also, you don't have lines too close from each other in the center of the face, or other places that could cause this awful line shading. I don't know if you can make better topology for this area, but this one has worked so well for me, and I haven't seen as much weird shading with it as I used to get before learning this. The issue I'm seeing now is that if your mouth is placed higher, it may not look so well because of the curvature of the head and the lack of space you have to create good shapes that creates this awful line in the shading. So mouth, it's kind of hard to make good topology, but I hope this helps you make it better if you want to make this. Hi Shine, editing again. While editing this part, I got this idea that could help make lips without having a mouth hole in the head. That is basically making a plane with the center of the lips and then making another plane behind this first plane with the shape of the lips. And then making later weight paint the same way as we are going to see later in this video. This may look good, and it could be another way of having good lip makeup without having to make this whole topology thing that I just explained. I still don't know if this works well or looks good in the practice because I haven't tried it. So keep that in mind if you are going to try this idea that I just got. Again, this is just an idea, so don't take this specific thing as a 100% proved method. So now that we have our model done, it's time to make the texture. For this case, the face drawing was made by someone else, and probably is the case that you are going to have most of the times. So I'm going to make this following the method that I use for these cases. But also, I will explain how you can make it better if you make your drawings for yourself. So for this, I'm just going to change to UV editing and then select all of my face features. After that, I will press U and project from view. I make this from front view. This way, I will have the 2D shape of my model that is basically the same shape as my initial texture. So with that, I can just cut that part of the initial drawing and that would be my texture, as you will see later. But if I'm drawing my own face, what I do is create this seam with Ctrl+E and create seam at the middle of the eyelash. And then, in UV editing, I press U and unwrap minimum stretch. With this, I can create this UV where I have separated the bottom part from the upper part of the eyelash, so I can later draw more details here than when I'm just using this kind of texture, since I can make the UVs bigger. For the rest of the face, I usually use unwrap with minimum stretch for almost everything, so I can conserve the shape of the 3D model itself rather than a messy shape projected from my view. And as you can see, I always try to make the parts that will have more detail bigger in the UV map, like the iris and pupils. And the parts that have less detail are smaller, like the UVs of the head that are just the blush and the rest a background color of the skin tone. So continuing with the other method, here I'm projecting from view all the face features. After that, I create a circle to make the iris since I forgot to do it before. So you can just see in the footage how I place it in the right position.
Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty.
And here, I enable proportional editing to make curvature in the iris. If you don't know how to use it with the scroll of your mouse, you can change this strength that will have the movement of the vertex that are close from what you have selected. And if you want to make the eye following effect, you just have to move the iris backwards until from side view, the iris covers the edge of the eye like I'm doing it here. And for the UV for this case, I will use Project from View to have this weird rotation that the iris has in this face. But as I said before, I prefer a lot more to use with minimum scratch when I'm doing a face that I'm drawing by myself, so I can add a lot of detail to the iris. Also, I try to leave a square in the top left of my canvas, free to make later the UVs for the head there, as you will see later. So after my UVs are done in texture painting mode, I will paint everything in red so I know where everything is when I import this image in my drawing software. And here I'm just fixing this little error that I had. After that, I save the texture and then go to the image editing software. For this I use Photoshop, but you can use whatever drawing program you like Procreate, Ibis Paint, and so on. So now that we are here, the first thing I do is make a square of 768 by 768 pixels. Remember that I'm using a 2048 by 2048 canvas. This square is where the UVs of the head are going to be. Now if you're making the drawing, you just have to draw normally each detail of your face. But in my case, I have this. So what I'm going to do is cutting each part of the texture, or if you have it by layers as I explained at the beginning, you can just add each layer and put it in their place. So now as you can see, here I have the problem that I explained at the beginning, where I don't have the full iris. So I have to complete the parts that we don't see in 2D, but we do see in 3D. In this case, the face that I'm doing is just black, so I just have to add this plain color black in the edges. But if your iris has more color or details, this may be harder to complete the missing part, but you just have to use your drawing skills to complete it. As you can see, I'm not following the red guide that I made here. That is because it's too big, and if I make big this texture, it will lose a lot of quality. So I leave it like this, and I will edit the UVs later in Blender. Now I continue doing the same with the rest of details. If they don't fit your guide, don't worry, just leave it like that, and later in Blender, you can edit the UVs to fit everything. For this case, we are using this to kind of know where to put everything in your canvas. If you are drawing your own face, obviously you have to follow your guide. Later, as you can see, since all the rest of face features are in a plain black color, I just put a big black background that covers the eyelash. This is because if you leave UVs too close from the edge with other color, they look with this weird effect at the edges that looks awful. Because Roblox makes the models lose quality when you get far from them for optimization. So to avoid that, I just make big squares like this with the same color as the edge. For every detail that is small and has a plaid color without details, I just use a plaid color square to texture it, since it's a lot faster and it avoids that glitch that I just showed you. After I have everything, I paint the square that I made at the beginning to know where to place the head UVs better and place in the right position the blush. After that, I save this and go back to Blender to place everything in their place.
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head because there are
Here I'm making visible and invisible my reference head, to see if the texture is perfectly aligned with the original. And when I have everything in their place, it's time for the head. So I start with the blush. In this case, I have blush in a separated layer already, so I just have to import it. But if you don't have this way, you may need to cut it the same way we did with the other face details. So for this, I use this method, where I put the blush in a canvas of the same resolution as the original drawing and then change the image size to 768 by 768, the same as my square in the final texture. And with this, I just grab the white background with the blush and place it until it fits my square perfectly. With this, you will have it almost perfect. Sometimes it may need a bit of adjustment, but we'll do that later. After that, in this part, I will make these little star details that the face has. So I added a plane and start doing it. I like to make these small details this way because Roblox makes the texture of dynamic heads lose a lot of resolution when we are in R6. So if we keep them only in the texture, they will not look good. So with this method, we can keep these small details with all their detail at every time. Now I will make the eye sockets. For this, I select all of the eye edge and then I duplicate it with Ctrl+D. After that, I extrude it, make it a bit bigger and backwards, and finally extrude it again, and then merge at center. And for the UVs of the eye socket, I just select it and make a project from view. With this, the model is done, so now I just have to merge all together with the head. So I select everything in object mode, duplicate it with Ctrl+D, in case I mess up something and I need to go back. And after this, I select the head and Ctrl+J. With this, we have our head as one object. So now we need to apply our modifier. With right-click, convert to mesh. After that, we are going to fill these holes that the head had at the top and at the bottom by selecting the edge and pressing F. Finally, we just have to make the UVs of the head. So we are going to select everything, press L in the head and click deselect. Then press H and everything except for the head is going to hide. Now we select the front half of the head and in front view, we do project from view and we place it in our square. And we repeat that with the rest of the head. Here I didn't have the blush at the right place, so I go back to the texture and edit it. And repeat until it looks good.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air.
Here I will make a tongue. Some people ask me for this, so here you have it. Basically, I just add a cube and edit it until it looks like a tongue. You can see everything just with the video. And obviously, it can look better if you have a mouth socket with a mouth hole. And it's not necessary to add this if you don't want to, so you can skip this part if you are not interested in this.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
When the model is done, we can finally start to make the bones. My template already has all the bones that I use in all my faces, and I think they are enough, so I will just move them to fit the face. But if you want more bones for some reason, you can add more by duplicating one with Shift+D in edit mode. You will see that the template has bones for the tongue. But if you don't want that, you can just ignore it. Or if it's too annoying for you, you can delete them. And if you want to make the eye shrinking thing, you can add bones like this at the edge of the iris and parent them to the main eye's bone. And I will explain more later how this will work. When we are done with this, we are going to select the head and then the bones, and then press Ctrl+P and with empty groups. And then here you will see all the bone names. Now we can start weight painting. So first I'm going to select the bones and change to pose mode. Then go here and disable lock object modes. This way we'll be able to be in a mix between pose mode and weight painting mode. So now you can select the head and change to weight paint mode, and you'll see it like this. Now you can enable this thing so you can see your vertex clearly. Now this is important, so pay attention. I changed to edit mode by pressing tab with weight paint mode enabled. And here I can select things and hide them. And if I go back to weight paint by pressing tab, you will see the parts that I hided remain invisible. So I will be using this all the process to make it super fast. So first I'll start with the eye sockets. So I will hide everything but the eye sockets. Then I will select the inner part of the eye sockets and hide them. Also hide the back of the head so we don't select it by mistake. With that, I will have only the edges of the eyes. If you remember, I made the eye sockets a different object separated from the head itself. And because of this, we have two vertex at the same position here in the edge of the eyes. So now I'm going to paint those at the same time. So I go to weight paint mode mixed with pose mode, and then select a bone of the edge of the eye with Alt plus right click. Then I go back to edit mode by pressing tab, and I'll select the vertex that I want to paint. And here I click assign with weight at 1. I usually make 1 or 2 depending of how close to the bone they are, as you will see. And I try to follow this rule for every bone. So now I continue with the rest of the bones of the edge of the eye. Make sure to have X-ray enabled while doing this. Otherwise, you will probably select just one vertex instead of the two. Then, repeat the same in the other eye. Mirror doesn't work with this, so every time you use the click assign method to paint something, you need to copy it manually in the other side. Now for the iris, I just select the bone, and in edit mode, I select only the iris with L, and again click assign. But if you want to make eye shrinking, we'll have to make weight paint like this, making each of the bones moving one edge of the eye. And for the eye bone itself, I just paint the little dot at the middle of the iris. With this, you'll be able to move each part of the iris so you can shrink them. For this eye of the footage, I have a lot of vertex, and that is not necessary, and it makes harder to make smaller the iris. But if you have your iris topology similar to this new head that I'm doing in this video, it will work a lot better, and you will be able to shrink the eye a lot more. Now I continue painting the rest of the face details. For this, I just hide everything except for what I will paint. And then I paint, kind of following the rule from before. Paint all of the vertex that are close from the bone. For this part, if you enable mirror, it can work. But sometimes mirror doesn't work for me for some reason. So if it's not working, I just paint both sides manually. I think if you didn't have mirror in one of the objects, when joining them to the head, it stops working or something like that. But if it doesn't work, it's faster to just continue than trying to fix it. For this, you don't have to be complex, making less weight in certain parts or something like that. 99.99999% of the times, I just use the weight at 1 for everything. You just have to paint the vertex that you want to move with the bone that you are selecting, nothing else. If you don't want that a specific part moves, just leave it empty, at 0 weight. The reason I hide everything that I'm not painting at the moment is that this way I don't paint by mistake something that I don't want to. So if you have moving something that you don't want to move with a bone, just select the vertex and click Remove in Edit Mode with the bone that you want to delete movement from selected. Here I just add the star details to the closest eyelash bone. And now for the mouth. Again, I hide everything. And then I make a cut in the middle. And then I start to paint each vertex. As you can see in this part, I paint the top part of the mouth and the middle with one of the upper bones, and then I paint the bottom part with the middle with one of the bottom bones. This will allow us to create things like mouth open animation. The way this works is that when you have a vertex painted with 2 different bones, each bone will affect the position of the painted vertex. Since we have the center at 1 weight in 1 bone at the top and 1 bone at the bottom, when we move them, the center will stay in the center. And at the same time, it will move the upper or lower part normally. So it looks like this. This helps to create mouth opening illusion without needing a real hole. And since this is just a plane, it will still look like 2D. By the way, if you have a mouth hole, it's a bit different. But you should be able to do it with the explanation that I made about weight painting in general. And for the tongue, I just select it in Edit Mode and click Assign, the same as we did with other parts.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.
When we finish now, we just have to add all of the rest of the things that we didn't paint to the bone name root face joint. So since I've painted all of the face features, I'm going to hide everything except for the head and eye sockets. Then I will select the root face joint bone
We'll go
and select all this part of the head.
till my shadow turns to sun rays.
Then I click Assign and hide the inner part of the eye sockets.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Then hide the back and select the edge of the eyes. Then click Remove. This way, the root face joint will not affect the intensity of the eye edges movement. After this, I just select the remaining part and assign it to the head.
Life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest.
And if you didn't left any vertex without painting the full head, should move if you move the head bone in pose mode, as you can see here. If instead of this, you see floating vertex when you move the head, it means you have vertex without painting, so you have to paint them. Now finally we can start animating this. So as you can see here at the top, we have a script. In this script, you will have all of the poses that I like to use. To upload this to the market, you only need 17 that you can find in the Roblox facts documentation page that I'll leave in the description. But those animations are kind of weird, sorted since the update, so I just do all of the ones that I have in this script to have a much prettier result. They are also sorted perfectly to make this animation process ultra fast. The total poses you can do are 50, and you can find them in the documentation page as I said. Here I have 34 without counting the tongue ones, so you can add more if you want to. To do that, just copy the last line of the script and put in frame the next number. In this case, it would be 38. And in the front, just copy and paste the name from the documentation exactly as it is.
We'll go
If you don't have a tongue in your face, you can delete these tongue poses from the script. So now we are going to start animating. So we are going to change to pose mode with the bones selected. Then we are going to check what pose we need to do first. The first one is always neutral, which is the one that we have already here. So now we are going to select all of our bones, and then we are going to change our timeline to the frame that corresponds to the current pose. In this case is 0. And then we are going to press I. With that, a keyframe will create in our timeline. So now the next pose is left eye closed. So now we need to move our bones to make the left eye close. For this, we can use G or we can rotate our bones with R. But never use S to scale the bone, since that will not look good in Roblox.
I don't know where I am, I don't know where you take me, I don't know where you take me. I just follow your trail and I'm losing your mind and I'm losing your head. Let me escape from this unlove, 'cause I'm a prisoner.
When you finish doing your pose, you are just going to select everything as before and press I. Now the next pose is right eye closed. So we are going to go to our timeline and with our keyframe selected, press right click and copy. And then in the next keyframe, right click and paste flipped. With this, you will have the exact same pose but in the other side. Now the next pose is eyes look down. So I will select everything, click pose, clear transforms, and all to move the bones to their original position. And now I enable mirror to move both eyes at the same time. When I'm done with my pose, I again select everything and press I. So now we keep doing the rest of animations like this. Remember that if you don't know how an animation should look, you can see it in the documentation page linked in the description. Here, I'm fixing a weight paint that I didn't like by adding this detail to the bone of the brow with a bit of weight, so it moves a bit when the eyebrow moves. Now we start with the mouth animations. These are the most important because they are the ones that most people have trouble with because they never pass validation. I will explain more about validation later when we do the cage. But for now, I will point out the animations that you need to pay more attention to for validation issues. The first one is jaw drop. For this one, try to move it a lot, down, up, and to the sides. Here I enable this thing to see the direction of the normals. If it looks red, it is backwards and it will look invisible in Roblox. And I realized that my iris had the normals inverted. So I fixed it by going to edit mode, selecting them, and press Shift+N. A fast point out here is that lips together and chin raiser animations sometimes cause problems since Roblox says they are too similar to the neutral pose. So for this one, that is lips together, I try to move it a lot up so that way I don't get that error. Pucker pose normally doesn't cause errors because it is so different from neutral pose. But just to let you know that this one matters for validation. This one is chin raiser. And as I said before, sometimes Roblox says that it is too similar to neutral pose. So to avoid this, I found out that if you make the mouth go up a lot like this, that error doesn't appear, and is enough for validation to pass perfectly. If you don't know that pose looks like this, so you may think you can only move the lower lip, and you don't have much more space for it to look good. But this way, it looks good and doesn't cause problems. Now, left lip corner puller and right lip corner puller are the animations that in most of the cases causes the smile expression can be detected error when validation. To avoid that, you need to move your mouth to the left and up a lot. If you move it up but not too much to the side or things like that, Roblox will not detect that as enough movement. So keep in mind that and be careful with that. And left lip corner down and right lip corner down are kind of the same. They cause a lot of the times they cannot detect frown expression error when validating your head along with chin raiser pose. So for this one, you have to move a lot to the left and down. Like with the last one, be careful with this one. And the same rule as the last one. If you move it too much downwards, but not a lot to the side, Roblox may take it as not enough movement, since they want you to move them in the directions that I just said.
You've been there from the start, inside my corner. When it gets cold and dark, you make it warmer. 'Cause you are on my mind, out of my
By the way, you can move whatever you want in every animation. For example, here, I'm making the iris a bit bigger when they are smiling. This way you can get creative and make special animations. Now finally we need to make the cage, the worst nightmare for all of you. But I hope it gets a bit easier for you after this. So in my template, you will have already this blocky cage so you don't have to import it from another file. So now we are going to modify this one. So we'll just modify its shape in edit mode, only using G. If don't want to somehow mess up the cage, UVs do that. Because a lot of people come to me always asking for this error, and it's just as simple as don't rush it and only use G to move the vertex. No scaling, no rotating. You can use proportional editing though, but I don't like to use it a lot personally, only when I need to move a lot of the vertex at the same time. So we are going to start with the eyes. This is very easy, we are just going to follow the edge of your eyes. Some people ask me how I make my cages look so smooth and clean, and well, I have kind of a lot of practice, since aside from heads, I also make layered clothing, so I'm used to cages a bit more. But I got a lot better since I got this image that shows the vertex where the eyes and mouth are, which are this. With this I can know what is each part of the cage, and with that I can place it in their place better. For example, I can see that this part is connected to the eyes following this kind of curvature. And also, I can see that this part of the eyes are kind of far away from the eye edge. So you can use that kind of things as reference points. Also for other things like the ear, I know that our ear finishes or connects to the head at the same height as the edge of the eye. So with that, I know the position where the ear should be. So to make it smooth, you just kind of have to identify which part of the cage corresponds to the part of the head, like ear, mouth, nose, cheeks, and so on. And that image that I just showed you helps with that. Now let's talk about validation. So this clip, it's being recorded after I finished the head that you were seeing in the background. To explain how validation works, as you can see in this image from before, here we have some colored vertex. These ones are the ones that Roblox uses to detect movement in our head. So we need to identify them in our cage. So these green ones are for the left eye, and in my cage they are here. For right eye, it's the same but in the other side, and they are in the image in a red color. So from these points, Roblox will make a ray cast, which is just a straight line that will collide with something. The part where this line collides will be kind of like an initial position. So when validation is running, Roblox will play animations like left closed eye to see if this point moves a certain amount of studs. We don't know how many because they don't tell us, but we don't really care about that since we can't really know how many studs we are moving our animations. But basically you need to put this vertex close to the places where you are moving more your cage. In this case for the eyes, it's easy and you can't get the cannot detect eye moving unless you are doing it in a very weird way. But let's now talk about the mouth. So the basic theory, it's the same I just explained right now. So for this, we also need that this specific vertex are close to where we are moving our mouth. They're located in the second ring of the mouth, basically in the vertex that are after the mouth hole, which is this one. So in this case, for this V-shaped mouth, I made it like this. As you can see, it's not the same shape as my mouth since it doesn't get to the edge of my mouth that it's here. But they are in a place where I know my mouth is going to move more when it's smiling, as you can see here. And these ones are in a place where I know that when my mouth opens, it will move a lot up and down. So if you have your cage following these rules like I just showed, and you still get any of these 3 errors, probably your cage is fine and you just need to move more your animations. And you'll see how in a moment. But before that, I will leave you with the rest of the footage where I'm doing my cage, so you can see how I make it smooth. Because if you want makeup to look very good like this, you need to have a very smooth cage. So in case you're interested, you can see it here, or just buy my super smooth cage in my coffee. The link is in the description. So now that we have everything done, we are going to select our head and then click here to run the script. If you forget to run the script, Roblox will not detect your animations when you import your head. After that, we are going to select the collection where we have our head, and then File, Export, FBX, and then copy my settings. Now in Roblox Studio, we are going to import it. You can copy my settings. And here in Face Controls, you can see if everything is fine. If you only see this warning that says that you only have a certain amount of poses, everything is fine and you can just ignore it. Now we need to check if our animations are looking good. So for that, we select our model. And then in Avatar, you can find this setup thing. So we click it. In this case, I don't have too much visual errors, but if you have some, to fix them, you can go back to Blender and move your animations a bit, or your mesh. You will see how in a second. Because as you can see here, I have some weird shading when it blinks. Keep analyzing every detail of your animations, and when you have all the things that you want to fix in them, we are going to check if we pass the validation, so we can upload it to the market. And as you can see here, I got cannot detect smile expression and cannot detect mouth open expression. So now we are going to fix that. Back in Blender, I will first solve the weird shading that I didn't like. So for that, I will move this vertex to kind of the original position, because the reason for this to happen has basically topology, as I explained in the topology part at the beginning in the video. And now, after that, we are going to solve the validation errors. So since the errors were cannot detect smile and mouth open, first I'm going to move more my jaw drop pose to the directions that I mentioned before, which are up, down, and to the sides. And after that, for the smiling error, I'm going to change my left and right lip corner puller animations to also move them a bit more in the directions that I mentioned in the animation part, which are up and to the side. After that, I check my cage in case something is clipping through when animating. And as you can see, yes, something was clipping. I don't know if this affects validation too much, but I fix it anyways just to be sure. So now we can export it again and go back to Studio to test if everything is fine. So now my head doesn't have weird shading when blinking anymore. And if I run validation, as you can see now, we have succeeded in less than 2 minutes. Lastly, if you watched my old video, you will remember that you had to copy the attachments from a dummy to make sure the accessories are in the right position when we have them equipped. And if they aren't, you would have to change their position manually. Well, now you can check if you want to, with accessories like this, to make sure that everything is fine. But I've positioned in my template the attachments in the exact same position as old classic Roblox heads. so you don't have to worry about that and just upload it right away. Well, if for some reason you moved one of these objects or the head bone, you probably messed up that. So please don't move any of those. So now we can upload it. If you want to, I'm just going to change the texture to make all the background transparent so we don't get this awful glitch. With this, my head will adapt to the skin color chosen by the player. Now, if you want to test your head with other body types, you can just add a mannequin with the body type that you want. In this case, I just imported my avatar, and then delete its head. After that, just copy and paste your head in your avatar, and you probably will see this weird glitch. To fix it, just duplicate this mannequin with Ctrl+D, and it will fix. Now you can click again Avatar Setup if you want to check the animations. And as you can see, since my cage is pretty smooth, I have very good looking makeup. To test this, I use some makeup made by me, so you can use it if you want to. They are made specifically to look good in blocky heads like this. But if your cage is so good quality, most of the makeup in the market will look good. And you can consider it a perfect cage. If you don't like how it looks, you can go back to Blender and edit your cage. Finally, here I'm fixing some clipping I had in the eyebrows when they were moving, by moving them a bit forward in edit mode. And just like that, this is the final result. I hope this was useful, and if it was, remember to leave a like and share it so more people can learn to make this. Also, if you want help with something, you can ask in the support channel in my Discord server. Thanks to all my Discord members and supporters that made this video possible.
Thank you for watching. Bye!